My name is, I live in Silverdale, and I want to thank Rick for all his efforts too. I've invited him, and actually Sheriff Montague as well, Deputy Montague, to one of our HOA meetings we had a few weeks ago. Montague never responded. Obviously Rick did. He showed up, gave a great presentation for about an hour and a half. We live right next to the Silverdale Trails, and it is an absolute disaster what is happening there. And in fact, the video put out by the Sheriff's Department is an absolute slap in the face for what we've had to deal with. We've had child luring incidents happening, constant prowling. There's a mugging that happened in the parking lot across the street from us. And we had an attempted carjacking. Guess who the guy was that was the attempted carjack? Well, the guy that had to deal with it. It was me. Had the guy come up, try to forcibly get in my vehicle. It was witnessed by another neighbor. We called 911 immediately. Nobody showed up. I have constantly called them for at least a number of days after that to say, hey, I want to open up a case. I got the guy actually because he was in a drugged out state to give me a full name of who he was. Had all the information, handed to him. In fact, I started the neighborhood watch group in our neighborhood so I can track and see what's going on. I was able to actually confirm that that name for that individual was actually correct too, that he gave me. Now, he did give me initially a celestial name, which I asked him to spell, and he spent about 2 minutes trying to figure out how that was going to work. And I said, well, give me the name off your birth certificate, that works. And sure enough, he was drugged up enough to give it to me. So, this is a site, unfortunately, this is next to our neighborhood. We have, in this little camp, 1,100 needles. The guy that's in there is from the Kitsap County Health Department. How do you show up? Showed up with a pair of kitchen tongs, no gloves, nothing. Did have absolutely no idea what it was that he was about to embark on in the cleanup process of that. We have a problem, and we need help dealing with it. And I will say that over this past weekend, Rick went out and did a patrol with me, just kind of watch the neighborhood at night, see what happens around the area. We didn't just stay in our neighborhood. I showed him all the hot spots. It's been an absolute nightmare for me just to see what's happened in our neighborhood, moving into it, just over the past couple of years, just keeps getting worse. We saw the amount of drug dealing you can't even possibly believe. Starting about 1 in the morning is when it all hit. Starts at the Silverdale bowling alley, the All-Star Lanes, the parking lot in the dog park, Gateway Park. We would sit there in the dark. They didn't know we were sitting in the car. We'd watch these guys literally walk out of the trails, walk up to that vehicle that would show up, do a handoff through the window, then these guys would roll right through. And it was constant. It wasn't just a one-time thing. This happened until 6 a.m. For them to suggest, the Kitsap County to suggest that this is just a homeless, unsheltered issue is a complete farce. We had a level 3 sex offender that we discovered was living in the woods. We called on this guy multiple times because he'd randomly show up at the bus stop when our kids are getting off the school bus. Okay, this wasn't just one-time incident. This was repetitive. Well, we had a big prowling incident, and I went in the woods with a couple of our neighbors obviously for protection, so there wouldn't be one person going in there. Guess what? We found his abandoned site. We found all his information in there. I was able to go back, verify who this individual was, match the pictures with the guy that showed up at our school bus stop, and find out that he was a convicted level 3 sex offender. And guess what? He also had multiple bags of kids' toys sitting in that campsite. You can't tell me that this isn't somebody that's likely to reoffend. And I went back and reapproached the Sheriff's Department about this and said, hey, we've called on this guy how many times? And guess what? Here's a picture of him. This is at the school bus stop. That's an 18-inch hunting knife that's on his side. He's staring at the kids getting off the school bus. Okay? And this was before we knew that he was a third-degree sex offender. Oh yeah, I know his name. I mean, for whatever protection purposes, I'm just going to keep it quiet. But regardless, that's what we've been having to deal with. Reach back to the sheriff's department and say, hey, you know, how are we never made aware of any of this? We've called on this guy. He shows up when the kids are getting off the school bus. He's obviously a threat, having a big hunting knife sitting there, you know, on his side, armed. And they say, oh, well, he's harmless. So, well, did you look up his record? You have it on all your screens. You know who this guy is. And he's got kids' toys. He's got a knife. He's standing there watching the kids get off the bus and showing up when they get off the bus. That's a huge concern. We don't have a sheriff's department right now that's really, truly acting on the benefit of us citizens. So I'm going to stand up here and say, hey, please talk to your neighbors. Talk to people that are in charge of HOAs. You know, tell them what's going on. You know, reach out. This is a community effort here to turn things around at this point. And I will say that I cold called Rick when we had our HOA safety meeting to kind of get tabs and figure out things, what was going on. He answered immediately. So that impressed me beyond anything. And I talked to Rick directly and told him what we're dealing with. And he said, you know what, I'll put aside all political things. I just want to come and give a presentation and give guidance on what the community can do to try to protect itself against this stuff. Look at, you know, whether it's cameras, whether it's lighting, different laws that we can use in our benefit to make sure that we are protected on these situations when these people come in the neighborhoods. And yeah, I mean, we saw an attempted prowler that happened to recognize my vehicle and did a full-on U-turn in the neighborhood as they came in and left at 3 in the morning. But at least it was, you know, we saw maybe one deputy that was on a call. Other than that, none the entire night. And, you know, why are they not out here? Why are they not going and investigating, at least hiding out some of these hot spots? We didn't see any of that. Not in any of them.
I ask, you mentioned twice, you said Montesquieu. Are you referring to DC, Sheriff?
No, Deputy Montague.
Okay.
So he's a community outreach officer. He's the guy intended to show up at these HOA meetings and be there in support. I reached out through a couple of his deputies over the countless interactions that I've had with them, running our crime watch for the neighborhood, and yeah, never got a call back. So, in my opinion, it's just beyond frustrating. Sure.
Does your district have a school resource officer? Because it should be reported to that person that there's a sex offender hanging around the bus.
Absolutely. No, that was all reached out to as well. We got neighbors that communicated with them.